name is Kay Byfield, and this is your ArtSpeaks Studio moment from ArtSpeaks Studio in Dallas, Texas. And today we're going to talk about feedback. If you make art and anybody sees it, you're going to get feedback. And a lot of artists have trouble with feedback because they find that they're so invested in their art that they can't listen to the responses of other people, and they don't know when to let it go and when to actually pay attention. So today I'm going to talk about what that means. The reason I thought of doing this particular program is because a couple of weeks ago I did a workshop with artists who are using all different kinds of media, and I gave them feedback. And it occurred to me that I wondered if that feedback was actually helpful. Some of the people gave me feedback as well, so I know how the information I gave was received. But it got me thinking about the times I get feedback and the times that you get feedback. Like any other kind of feedback, when you receive reactions to your artwork, you need to consider the source. If it comes from your mother or it comes from your best friend, it's different than if it comes from a teacher or someone who is very knowledgeable about art. It can make a big difference. So you need to consider the source. You need to think about what is in it for that person. Why are they giving you feedback? Have you asked for it? Did they just spontaneously decide that you needed to know something about your work? And if so, why? That makes a big difference. If somebody doesn't understand your work, then there really isn't any point in listening to their feedback. If, however, they do seem to get it and be engaged, they may have something constructive to say. Some of the best feedback I've ever gotten about composition and about drawing have come from children. And this is because children are blunt and direct, and they really don't think about their feedback hurting your feelings. So they are very honest, and they see things, they're curious about the world, and they see things in a way that can be very helpful and constructive. So I always listen to feedback from children. I also listen to feedback from anybody who seems to get what I'm trying to do and is paying attention. That kind of feedback can be very helpful. And even if the person who's giving your feedback has a lot of art experience, they may still have prejudices and antipathies and preferences. For instance, I know a lot of really educated, talented people who perhaps don't like a particular kind of art, just like we all don't like some kinds of music. And if you happen to be making the art that falls in that genre, they're not going to be able to give you an objective response to your work. So you need to consider that too when you think about the feedback you're getting. So let's talk about the kind of feedback people get. We get feedback that's casual from comments of bystanders or people that are in our lives. We get formal critiques in a teaching setting or some kind of a studio setting. We get feedback when we enter a show and the judge either accepts our work or doesn't, or gives an award or doesn't. That's feedback too. And we also get feedback when we put our work in shows and we see how other people respond to it. All of those kinds of feedback can be valuable or detrimental depending upon who gives it, what they say, and how we deal with it. They say we're all our own worst enemies. I'm not sure that's true. Some people love everything they do, and some of us are pretty demanding about the quality of our own work. I am striving to do good work, and because I'm always challenging myself, the work often doesn't measure up. That doesn't really bother me though, because that is the way I will continue to get better. And I take pleasure in the fact that I am getting better. But if you do have those kinds of expectations for yourself, or if you're a perfectionist and you expect yourself to never have any failures, you can find yourself in a lot of pain. So I recommend that you find a way to give yourself the ability to make failures and take risks in order to get better at your work, or just enjoy doing what you do. But driving yourself crazy expecting to be perfect never works. For offhand, casual comments, you should take it like it's given, casually. Don't put too much into it. Don't look for anything grander in it. Don't let one person or several people's responses do anything to change the way that you look at your work, unless you find that something in it has merit. With formal critiques or in a teacher type setting, you need to listen with an open mind and an open heart, and try to avoid being defensive. You want to hear what's said, you've asked this person, you've given this person permission to give you feedback, and you need to consider it in order to decide how much merit it has. You don't want to take everything that the teacher says as being exactly true, because they may be wrong. Years ago, I had feedback from a well-meaning, excellent painter who really had my best interests at heart, but he gave me feedback and I argued with him and said, I don't think that that's true, but he insisted that it was. And I finally decided that he was the teacher and therefore he must be right. I think it sent me off in a direction that probably set me back a little bit for a couple of years. I don't really regret that. I learned a lot, but I also learned to trust my own self as well. So you don't just take it verbatim. And then there are the masses. The people who give you feedback who you don't know who they are or what their backgrounds are. And when I think about this, I think about the People's Choice Awards that a lot of organizations do and that some exhibitions like to do. And the People's Choice Awards are really interesting. Typically, the winners are not the same as the winners that the judge has selected. And that's because the people tend to go for sentimental themes, narratives, things that are more comfortable for them, and anything that's representational, especially if it's photorealistic and very representational. Every time you receive feedback, you need to consider its source and what response is most appropriate for you. Don't let feedback undermine you. It should energize you. It should empower you. If you're finding that it's demoralizing and it's obstructing you, you need to slough it off and move on. After all, nobody knows what you want to do. Nobody has the right to tell you how to do it. It's your artwork, and only your opinion matters. So make the work that matters to you. Don't let anybody else tell you what to do. Feedback can be invaluable though, so learn when to take it and when to let it go. I hope this was helpful. I hope you're having a good time painting and that you are enjoying the feedback you get. And until next time, I wish you happy painting.